Well, it's Saturday the 5th of March. This is episode 2209 of 301 Permanently Moved Online, a personal podcast 301 seconds in length, written, recorded, and edited by me, at the JMO. If you enjoy this show and would like to help me make more and do more like it, please consider becoming a paid subscriber at www.thejmo.net/support. I already wrote a whole episode for this week about game spaces, video games, and landscape writing, inspired by David Osborne's new book, You Pray for Dry Weather at the Sight of the Sun. A 50-page experimental essay on life, fatherhood, connection, and the video game Death Stranding. You may remember JDO from his guest episode last year, episode 2123, The Dark Souls Method, a show about Dark Souls and Petscop. JDO seems to be toying with, developing a new kind of video games writing. The essay is experimental in form as well as content. Its structure and its pacing is something that I'm deeply appreciative of and find inspiring. Reading it the other night felt like a friend had passed me a rasp. I really recommend both the book and his episode of Permanently Moved. Check him out. Anyways, so a new script after throwing away a complete draft. A rare occurrence, but unavoidable if you make it into the 5th year of a weekly podcast. It hasn't happened for a long while. In fact, I looked it up. September 2021. Episode 2135, this week's podcast. Throwing away 1,000 words, of course, is frustrating. It may never see the light of day. But once written, things cannot be unwritten. Writing things down exposes and explores a subject. It reveals blind spots. Positions, or rather orientations I took with words, become points of reference for future thinking. This is why I write a diary, a journal, morning pages every day, brain dumping whatever is front of mind. Sometimes I write 500 words, other times over 1,000. But every day for 20 minutes, I will write things down that can't be unwritten. This is, of course, a practice. To perform an activity or exercise, a skill, repeatedly or regularly in order to acquire, improve, or maintain proficiency in it. So what exactly is this exercise in proficiency I'm working on or towards? Originally, it was learning how to write, but it has developed into the ability to plug my brain directly into my fingers, to get out of the way of myself and type as quickly as my thoughts arrive. An activity I have come to appreciate. Back in January of 2021, I made a show called Thinking Out Loud, episode 2103. It was about how ideas don't come fully formed. Instead, they arrive as a sequence of events that pour out of you, one after another. Not a flash of insight, but sequential germination happening in a cascading instant. The other week, I spoke about the need to stay in a creative pinhole. When you stay with an idea and its energy for as long as possible, surfing it, riding it like a great wave. Perhaps I should have used the word cascade then too. When riding that wave, I type at about 50 to 60 words a minute, which is about the upper limit for me. If ideas are arriving faster than this, I'll resort to new lines and bullet points to keep up. The first draft of a document may consist of paragraphs, snatches of sentences, one-word lines. Single words that will evolve into complete paragraphs in their own time. Once you have the ability to type and capture ideas at the speed of thought, you don't necessarily need uninterrupted time to write, or to produce. You just need the thoughts themselves. I've said before, in another episode somewhere, that morning pages, diary practice, or whatever, clears the pipe. The way British people born in a house with a water tank in the loft will run a mixer tap to clear stale water before filling a glass. This is all very well and good, of course, but why shelve the first draft, the first 1,000 words? In part, it was because of the blind spots that arose. Another part is just not being happy with the first draft. The effort required to rewrite and fix the text in the edit outweighed by it starting again and working on something else. Dyslexic teenage me is horrified by this cavalier disregard for words, but it's fine. And yet, there are other kinds of words I have, and other kinds of efforts I've made. Things unfinished because of the fear of finding out. We are now in March, 1/6 of the year already gone. There are big things, creative things that have been set aside and shelved. Not because I am unhappy with them, not because these ideas don't matter or contain blind spots, but because they are ideas that matter to me a great deal. With everything that's happening in the world, it has seemed selfish over the last few years to come out of that weather and work on the things that matter to me. I realise that the Stream of Consciousness episode has become an exercise in reminding myself that once again I must take responsibility for where I place my attention. The first episode of this year's title are the first words I see whenever I open this document. I must look away at the things that I can do nothing about and towards the things I can, should, and will do. Because there are things in my life that need doing, and in January I promised myself I would get them done.